What's up everybody, it's your boy Duplays here, back with some more YouTube reaction videos for you guys. So today we're checking out Nintendo Switch emulation is better than ever. There was some legal issues with Yuzu, so it had kind of got shut down for a while. Shut down for a while. So I'm checking this video out to see the stages of how it's been progressing in these last few months. I actually have Yuzu, one of the older builds, before it got shut down on my Steam Deck. But I'm rambling a bit too much now. Before we get into this, don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, turn on post notifications, all that good stuff. Follow my socials, TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. They'll be in the description so I can get more views, like, comments, shares, subscriptions, money, club, fame, success, and I can stop being a bum. Let's get into it.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. You're probably used to Nintendo Switch emulation looking something like this, but soon it may look a little bit more like this. This is the latest version of Eden, the Nintendo Switch emulator, which continues to receive constant updates. And these constant releases are expanding.
So it looks like they released a new one. I didn't know about Eden. Also, the Yuzu has this UI as well, but I did not know about Eden at all. That's new to me.
Switch emulation. Today I'm going to show you some of the latest improvements in this space and give you a sneak peek of what is coming soon. We're able to go into our game profile here and change our name and profile picture. We're able to choose from loads of different characters just like we would on the real Nintendo Switch console. This is a nice way to customize our experience and is even reflected in some games. For example, in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, we have our username down the bottom right corner here, Ryan Retro. So being able to customize our profile like this will really customize our experience in various games. And while we are able to launch into this Nintendo Switch home screen, we're not unfortunately able to launch the games from here yet. That is something the developers are still working on and isn't quite fully implemented yet. You'll see the games trying to load, but there usually is some kind of error. So we are going to have to go back to our old launch screen for now. So coming back to that more familiar screen we're used to seeing over the previous months, we do actually have a few new views here. We have the standard grid view that you probably see in Sadachi, Citron, and Yuzu. But if we come up to the little eye icon up here, we also
yeah, he just mentioned re-emulators. Let me go back.
But if
Sadachi, I know about that one. I also know about Citra, and Yuzu is the one I use. That's the one that most people use. And there's also Suyu, which is like a different fork of Yuzu. You guys don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm going to stop now.
Icon up here, we also have two more views. We have the list view, and we also have the carousel, which I personally think is very nice. We can use touch control to swipe through all of our games, or we can use our D-pad or analog stick. Everything's functioning well here, and it gives it more of a launcher feel. Another feature I like is the recently played feature. If we hit these three lines up here, we have recently played, and this is only going to show the games, as you may have guessed it, that you've recently played. So rather than having to sift through your whole list of games every time, you can just quickly jump back into the game you may have been playing earlier. When it comes to customizing those games to get the best experience, there are also some new features here too. When we go to a game's settings, or indeed the settings of the whole emulator itself, you will see Eden's Veil. These are experimental settings that go beyond the settings found in other emulators. Changing some of these settings may completely crash some of your games, but if you have games that don't work anyway and always crash, which in my experience happens to quite a lot of games when it comes to Nintendo Switch emulation, then it might be worth poking around and tinkering and seeing what you can get working.
Messing with CPU clock speeds and GPU API renders like Vulkan, OpenGL, that type of thing.
Any of the settings in
I've been there.
Veil, I'm getting a pretty solid 30 frames per second here with a 0.75 times resolution in Breath of the Wild. And I've also fixed the water, which used to look like milk. But how did we fix those issues? Well, we fix issues like that usually by changing the drivers. And in the
See, what I do is I play the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild because it just runs a lot better. Functionally, it and the Switch are like the same game. The Switch version are the exact same game. But I just play the Wii U version. It just runs better.
In the past, I would usually link you to websites like GitHub, where you can download drivers from Zero Gimchi, and there's also Mr. Purple, who makes great drivers as well. But Eden has made it easier than ever to download drivers. All you need to do is come to the settings, come down to the GPU driver manager, and you'll see the familiar screen where you can choose a driver and also install your own driver from your downloads folder. But what Eden has done is go one huge step forward and add this fetch button. If you tap on this, you then have a way to download all of the drivers you'd ever want to use. And Eden will even recommend you a driver based on the chipset of your device. So my Retroid Pocket 5 here has the Adreno 650, and it recommends the Mr. Purple T19 driver. So if I just tap my finger where it says Mr. Purple Turnip, it's going to expand all of the Mr. Purple drivers I can download. And if I find here Mr. Purple T19, as is recommended for me, and tap Show Downloads, here is the zip file I need. If I just tap on that zip file, it's going to install the driver for me. And just like that, when I go back to the menu, it's going to be added to the bottom of the list. Right now, it's not currently able to see that you've already downloaded it. So I actually have the same exact driver 2 times here. It would be nice if they can implement that in the future, and I'm sure that they will. But for now, this is just a super easy way to grab all kinds of different drivers to tinker with and try out. It's never been easier to grab a driver and just give it a go. I think this is so far Eden's best feature, and one that is really, really helpful, especially to people who don't know where to.
Kind of unrelated, but I wish they had designed the PC handhelds like this, where this is one like solid piece of glass or material and it just covers the entire screen on front part of the device. But with the PC handhelds, they all have like the screens just glued into the frame. I don't like it because I feel that the adhesive that they use is weak. When I got my Steam Deck LCD, which I sold, and the OLED, which I'm holding right here, when I did this, I was able to actually see the screen shifting ever so slightly. I could actually move it out of place, which tells me that the adhesive that they're using, which is actually a type of double-sided tape, yes, that's what they use, at least for the Steam Deck. I think it's the same for the other handhelds. Was not strong enough. You should never have a device where you're able to move the screen out of frame ever so slightly. So what I did was I got some crazy glue. I glued the entire perimeter in the cracks. In the cracks, I mean in the little gap on the gaps around the screen, everywhere, and it has not budged since. I did it with the LCD. It was a bit messy, so I had to scratch excess glue off. Same here, but less messy. So I kind of like this full frontal glass because they can't shift out of line because the screen is embedded inside rather than outside like most devices today. And a lot of the times they don't adhere them right. They're not perfectly aligned, and then there's screen gaps and dust gets in the gap, and it just doesn't look clean. There's no dust to get in this gap because it's fully covered on the front. But I do understand that having the screen just dropped in like that allows you to easily repair and replace it. People really need to be careful with their electronics and stop dropping them. So yeah. Unrelated, but just something I feel strongly about.
And for just anybody who wants to tinker and find something that works, and then submit a working game report either to my website, ryanretro.com, or emuready.com, which is also working on its own app to integrate directly with Eden. This is an early look at the EmuReady app. an app we can use to browse compatibility reports for so many different devices like the Retro Pocket 5, the Odin 2 Portal, phones, and various other devices you may have. The app is quite buggy right now and keeps getting frozen, but I will show you on the screen now a working demo by the developer of this app, Product Devotee. When it's working properly and released for us all to use, you'll be able to just browse through the compatibility reports like usual, tap on one you want to use, and it will launch Eden and customize all of the settings for you. You don't need to go through any of the settings yourself. It will customize them all for you and give you the best experience. So I think that's something we can really look forward to in the future. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. You're probably used to Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Yourself, it will customize them all for you and give you the best experience. So I think that's something we can really look forward to in the future, and I'm very excited for that. When the app is fully fleshed out, I'll be sure to make a guide and tutorial on it for you. So what games are working well on Eden now? Well, I already showed you Breath of the Wild is working very nicely for me.
Naturally, you know, Breath of the Wild is going to be the first thing anybody ever tests. That and Mario
Kart.
Kart.
Working well is Ni no Kunai, Wrath of the White Witch. This game is kind of unique in that it needs to load up an end-user license agreement that you must agree to before you can launch the game. And when I used to try this on other emulators like Citron and Yuzu, it needed a specific older firmware, 17.0.1, or it just wouldn't load this agreement. But here on Eden, you can use any of the newer firmware like 19 or 19.0.1, and it loads perfectly fine. Another issue I had with this game in the past is that we couldn't save the game. It would often corrupt or just not save in the first place. I'm happy to say that now in Eden, there are no issues whatsoever with saving the game. The save screen comes up normally as it should, and we're able to create save files so we can play it later. So I'm very excited to finally jump into this game on my Retro Pocket 5, just like how I played it before on my Nintendo Switch. Another game that's now working on Eden that I've never been able to get working before is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Here it is on the portal and it seems like it's running very nicely. Gyro control is also working as well. The game is running at a pretty solid 30 frames per second and looks beautiful here on that beautiful 7-inch screen of the Odin 2 Portal. On the Retro Pocket 5, this
looks like an OLED screen too.
Shows a series of flashing colors, but hopefully this is something we could possibly fix if we find a good driver. The game that surprised me the most is Red Dead Redemption, working at a solid 30 frames per second.
Yeah, that actually looks really good.
This is amazing. I've tried to emulate this on Winlator before, and I managed to get around 30 frames per second with a lot of sacrifices by really lowering down the quality and accepting it's probably the best we're going to get for a game like this. But here, the Nintendo...
Oh, speaking of which, it just occurred to me after like a couple of months, because I had thought about it before. When, if ever, are we getting that Red Dead Redemption 2 port of Switch? That Red Dead Redemption 2 Switch 2 port. Rockstar is super busy, but I don't know if they're gonna like outsource it to anybody. Just like they haven't put GTA 5 on the Switch 1, because the Switch 1 could run GTA 5, it really could. And they didn't end up porting it. I mean, Rockstar couldn't. They were busy with RDR2 at the time. And because the Switch came out in 2017. I mean, then again, by the time people were asking for a GTA 5 port for the Switch, RDR2 had already been released, but then naturally, you know, they started working on GTA 6 right after that. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if we're gonna get a Switch 2 port of RDR2. We'll see. I mean, I'm good. I have it on this and PS4. So I'm good either way. I'm just wondering if they're gonna do that.
Nintendo Switch version looks beautiful and is running at a really solid 30 frames per second. So I'm very excited to play this game again after a very long time. So if you were looking to play Red Dead Redemption on a little device like the Retroid Pocket 5, this has to be the best experience we have so far. And again, it's not completely perfect. You will get crashes sometimes. But what the developers are doing over at Eden is incredible. And I'm really impressed by this. Riding around like this on my horse with a solid frame rate, everything looking beautiful. This is a wonderful experience. I hope this video was interesting and gave you some inspiration about what you'd like to tinker with next on your handheld devices. Please give me a like and subscribe if you didn't already, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
All right. That was it, guys. That was my reaction to Nintendo Switch emulation. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.